Hi everybody and welcome to another match in the Deathball League. Today, the Orcs from the Bone Clan Marauders will give a very brutal and warm welcome to the Wood Elves from the High Grade Orcs. And this is the second match from both teams, and they are out here today to prove that they belong in the Deathball League. The Bone Clan Marauders is an Orc Brawl team without a trait. They line up with 2 Brawlers and 3 Linemen, and they have not earned enough XP to level up or buy further players. But they have used 1 game point to buy a homebrew, and Ragath, the team captain, will have a homebrew in his pocket that he can use 1 time during the match. The High Grade Orcs is a Wood Elf skill team, and they also play without traits. They line up with 3 linemen and 2 dodgers, and none of their players have XP enough to level up. They have bought a healing potion, so 1 time during the match they can use it in case of an injury. Let's roll off to see who will begin this match. The Orcs will use the green dice and the Elves will use the blue dice, and that looks like Ragath won the roll-off. Giuliani will have to line up and the Orcs will have the first turn. And the Orcs will activate the Brawler here first. He has 1 good activation. They will see if they can get their Brawlers close to the Elves already from the beginning. And then a failed activation. Play will pass to the Wood Elves. And Team Captain Giuliani will be the first to have 1 action, and he will of course go for the ball. After all, it's the ball. They need to score, and he picks it up easily this time. And then he will need some protection. Another lineman. He fails his activation. So Giuliani is out in the middle of the pitch with the ball, and Ragath will be the Orc to try and do something about that. He will re-roll 1 of his dice here, so 1 good action, and he will move to Giuliani, and then the Brawler will activate, and he will move right up into the face of the Elven line. And on the left side of the pitch, the other Brawler will also move, and he will move to Giuliani, and for his second action he will attack him. And with a 3, it's good. He has the higher brawl value. And a roll of 6 will slam Giuliani to the pitch floor. And the ball will bounce. And where will the ball end up? 2 squares in direction 5. So the ball will end up here just behind the Orc Brawler. And the Orcs still have their turn, so this lineman will try to roll 3 activation dice, and he will have 2 good actions. So he will move all the way to the ball and try to pick it up, and he does. So he will have the ball now, and he will move out to the outer zone on the right side of the pitch. Another good activation. The Orcs really move and activate with great reliability at the moment, but play will eventually pass to the Elves. They are already under pressure. The lineman here will have 1 action. He will of course try to block the way for the ball carrier, but he will not be able to attack him or tackle him. So we have the Dodger here, the very dangerous Dodger, and he will try to move into position with a couple of movement actions here, maybe put himself in position for a shot, and then a failed activation. The Orcs will have the turn back. And it looks like they will try to clear the path with brute force. The Brawler has 1 action. He will attack the Dodger, and with a roll of 6, he is really hitting hard. The Dodger is attacked and flipped over stunned. So what will they do next? The second Brawler, and he will fail his activation attempt. So can the Elves stop this Orc attack? Giuliani will try to get back up, and he does. He recovers, and then the Dodger here also a recovery attempt. and he is good with a roll of 5. He's also back into the game. And then the lineman here, he will of course go for the ball, and he will have 3 actions. So first he will attempt to attack the ball carrier. No, a failed attack roll. And he will try again. Also, no, he will need a 4. And he will fail all his 3 attempts. He will attack, but it will be of no use. The ball is still safe in the hands of the orc. Now the other lineman, he will attack and also not be able to do any damage to the orcs. So it's back to the orcs now. And Ragath will have 1 good action, and he will attack Giuliani. He will have the strength in numbers because of the brawler, and he will take down the elf captain. So that enables the brawler to move freely. He has 2 good actions, so maybe he could go to protect the ball carrier. He will end up next to the dodger, and he will have 1 action to attack him. Also successful, but double 1. He will only move and push the dodger away and not really do any damage to him. So the second Orc Brawler. 3 activation attempts, and 2 of them are good. They activate really good at the moment. So he will move in and try to remove this elf. And if he's successful, he could clear the path for a goal. And he will take down the elf. And now the ball carrier. He does not have any control zones that he needs to get rid of. He can move freely. He has 2 good activations. He will move 4 square here. And the path is clear all the way to the end zone. He will take his second action. And he will take the ball to the end zone. And he will score. Forza has scored the first goal of this match. It's 1 for the Orcs and 0 for the high-grade Hawks. And now it's up to the Elves, and they will, without a doubt, try to get back into this game as fast as possible. An Elf lineman will move straight for the ball, pick it up, and then move in behind Giuliani, who was stunned, and that's why he's in the middle of the pitch. He was confused. Now he is back, and he will have 1 good action, and he will sprint into the orc zone and the left side of the pitch. And this dodger will move in and try to shield the ball carrier. And what else can they do? This lineman will have 2 actions. It's looking good for the elves now. And he will move in to block the orcs, block their way with his control zone. And finally, the second dodger will have 1 good action. He will also protect the ball. And the orcs must be aware now, otherwise the elves will run straight past them. So this lineman will try to activate, and he will roll 2 activation dice. 1 of them is good, and he will attack the elf, and he will successfully push the elf back. So he's not stunned, he's only pushed. Then Ragath, the orc captain, he will fail miserably and leave it up to the elves. It's turn 10 now. Can they score? And then they will have a good chance of improving even more if they can put a goal on the scoreboard very soon. But the ball handler here will only move once. And then it's back to the orcs. Not the best turn for the elves, but can they be stopped? Apparently not at the moment. The orcs also fail their activations. And now this elf lineman will have to get out of the way. 1 move action, so the path is clear. The ball carrier, he will need at least 2 good actions. Let's see if he can make it. 2 out of 3. No, he fails, but he gets 1. It's not enough to take him all the way to the end zone, but he is very, very close. And now the rest of the elves will have to watch while the orcs try to stop him. And the lineman here, no, the brawler will have to do the job. He will only have one good action, so he cannot attack him, but he can move right up into the face of the elf. And what about the lineman here? It looks like two good actions, so he will have an attempt to attack the elf. He can stop the attack right now, and he will attack the elf. He will only be pushed though, but he will still lose the ball. The ball will bounce, and it will go only one square. And that's off the pitch, which is not possible, so the ball will stop here, right behind the elf. And then it's Ragath again. And again he will fail his activation. The Orc team captain is really bad at the moment. It's back to the Elves. They are still very close to the end zone. First activation is a dodger here, and he plays it very, very safe. Only one activation dice. And then the lineman, and he rolls one good action out of 3. It's not impressive. And he will move into the face of the Orc Brawler. So, back to the Orcs. And this Orc Brawler also wants a piece of the action. He will move 4 squares and join his teammates and the elves down here. And the second Brawler will have one good action. He will, without a doubt, attack. And he will be surrounded by elves, and he will not be successful. The elves have the strength in numbers. And this Orc lineman, also one action, he will block the path of the dodger. And finally Ragath, oh my god, for the 3rd time in a row, he will fail all his activation dice and be able to do nothing. So the dodger here will activate. One good action, so what will he do? He will attack. And no, it's not enough. And then the lineman here, oh my god. It must be nerves. It's nerve-wracking to be so close to the end zone and so close to the ball and then finally do nothing. And also the Orc Brawler will fail. So the elves will have another chance. And he will try once again to activate. And this time he has 2 good actions. So first he will turn around and move into the square with the ball. So he can pick it up, or at least he can try. And it's good. He will pick up the ball. And now he will try to leave the Orc's control zone. And that will give the Orc a free attack. But he will need a roll of 5 because of the strength in numbers, and he fails, and Ordinir will take the ball to the end zone. It's a 1-1 game, and the Elves are back. It's turn 19, and the game is even, and the Orcs will begin. And this Brawler will move to the ball. He will not try to pick it up, and Ragath will fail yet again. Has he even moved? A miserable performance by the Orc captain. It must be some of the worst I have ever seen. Now, the Elves will, of course, try to continue their game. And the dodger on the right side of the pitch will activate. He will roll 3 dice. He will fail 2, so he will move once, and then it will be the Orcs again. So he will also move to the ball. And it's back to the Orcs now. And I don't dare to think about Ragath. They will try to activate the Brawler first, and that was not much better. They will leave the initiative to the Elves now. So this Elf lineman will have one action, and he will attack the Brawler. They have the strength in numbers, and the Elf will slam the Brawler to the ground. With a 6, he's stunned. Nice play by the Elves. They really play with their elven muscles now. And the dodger again will fail twice. He will have one good action, and he will take the ball. And then he will be able to continue his movement. So where will he go? To the other side of the pitch, apparently. But it's the Orcs again. The Dodger is very much alone in the middle of nowhere, so this Brawler, he will have two good actions, and I can safely say that he will move and attack the Dodger with the ball. And he needs a 2, and that's what he gets. A 1 and he would have failed, but a roll of 2 is enough, and he will stun the Dodger, and he will lose the ball. The ball will bounce only 1 square. The Orcs still have their turn, so maybe they will be able to pick up the ball. 1 action to the Orc lineman here. He will move to the ball, but then it will be the Elves now. And I bet this Dodger will have an attempt at the ball, maybe 3 good actions, no, only 2. But he will go for the ball, and he will try to take it all the way into the sunset, I guess. Let's see if he can pick it up. No, it's not enough. He will drop the ball, and it will bounce again, this time 2 squares in direction 1. So it's back to the Elf home zone almost. And let's see if the lineman instead will be able to find the handle on the ball and pick it off safely. He will have 2 actions. Move into the ball and pick it up easily. And of course continue his movement, and he will have a second move action that will take him all the way almost to the Orcs home zone. And this Elf will follow him. It looks like a second Elf goal very shortly. Now only 1 action for this Elf, and then he will lose the turn. It's final call for the Orcs if they will have any chance of stopping the Elf attack here. Finally, Ragath activates once. And he moves here. He will not be able to reach the ball carrier. What about this lineman? He really has to do at least 1 attack, and he will have 2 actions, so he will try to attack the Elf first. And we'll re-roll that one, and it's a 4. He will attack, and he will stun the Elf, and he will have another action, so he can actually stop, or at least block the way for the ball carrier. And this Brawler will recover. And then these Orcs down here will try to do some damage. 1 action for the lineman, he will attack. And he will roll a 6, so he will have a good attack, but he will only push the Elf back, and the Brawler will also try to attack the already stunned Dodger. He will have 1 action, and he will have a good attack, so what will happen? Oh, nothing. He is already stunned, so no further damage to the Elf. It's now turn 26, and the Elves are close to the end zone. This lineman will not recover, and only 1 action for this lineman. He can move, and maybe he will be able to receive the ball here. And this Dodger will also move into position. And the stunned Dodger, he will not recover. Finally, the ball carrier. And he will only have 1 good action, not enough to take anything into the end zone. But what will he do? He will attempt to shoot the ball. He will have -2 because of the control zone and the distance. So he will need a 6. And he will roll a 1. So he will not even shoot the ball. He will lose it right where he stands. And it's 2 squares back. A complete failure and fumble by this Elf, and the ball will land behind him. And now it's the Orcs' turn. And Ragath is the first one to attempt activation. He will have 2 attempts, and both of them are good for the first time in this match. So he will move and try to pick up the ball, but he will fail. The ball will bounce yet again. And this time, 3 squares in the same direction. So the ball will bounce towards the Elf end zone, and Ragath will be out of actions. But what about his teammates? This Brawler will have 1 good action, and then he will fail twice. And he will attack the Dodger successfully, And he will turn around and hit him hard and take him out of the game. He is knocked out. Tough blow for the Elves. Now this lineman will try to recover, but he fails. It's the Orcs again. And Ragath has the ball right in front of him. He will need a couple of good actions. Let's see. And he will have 3 good actions. All he needs now is to pick up the ball. He will need a roll of 3 to do it. But now would be a really good time to drink his homebrew. So he will only need a roll of 2 to pick up the ball. Let's see. And he rolls a 6. He will pick up the ball and he will continue flying into the end zone. And he will score, and the Orcs take the lead. Ragath has scored. And the knocked out Dodger will need a roll of at least 3 to get back into the game, and he has recovered, so he will be able to step up to 3 squares onto the pitch. And it's turn 30. And the stunned players will only be able to get up where they fell. So this lineup looks questionable. But never mind, the Elves will move. And they will, of course, go for the ball. So this lineman will attempt to pick it up. He is successful. The ball is back on Elf hands. But with 2 failed activations, it's the Orcs again. And they look really deadly here. The Brawler will have 2 good actions, and he will slam this lineman out of the game as well with a roll of 10 on the hit attack chart. He is also knocked out. It's beginning to look very, very bad for the Elves. And he will move right up to the ball carrier. He's out of actions, but the other Orcs are not. So this lineman has 2 actions, and they will surround the poor Elf lineman with the ball now. Now Ragath, 1 good action. After a miserable first half, he really had a few good plays, and he took the ball all the way to the end zone. And this Orc will have 3 actions, so he will move and attack. He will have to roll a 3. So the first attack failed, and he will attack again, and this time with a 4, he will hit the Elf, and he will once again knock out an Elven player. So 2 Elves knocked out of the match at the moment. It will certainly not be easier for the high-grade Hawks. 1 goal down, and 2 Elves down. And well, in this case, he will not be knocked out. The Dodger will be stunned. Not many standing Elves left. So let's see what they can do. And the Dodger here will try 3 activation dice. He will have 2 good actions. He will run as fast as he can. And then a recovery attempt here from this Elf. He's good. And another attempt from the ball carrier. He's also good. And he will try to shoot the ball. He will need a 6, and oh no, once again, with all the negative modifiers because of the Orc control zones, he will drop the ball where he stands, and it will bounce. 2 squares in direction 7, down here, and the Orcs will have the next turn. And it's turn 33. The game is almost over. And the Orcs will fail. It's right back to the Elves. Can they really score? With only 3 players. Now this Dodger will try to move out of the Orc control zone. He will have to roll at least 3 to dodge. And he does not. So the Orc will have 1 free attack. And he will roll a 6. And he will hit with a good roll, and the Dodger will be stunned, and he will not be able to move anywhere. And this Dodger, he will have 2 good actions, so he will be able to reach the ball if he can pass 1 control zone. So he will move into this control zone and into the square with the ball, So, and his dodge attempt is good, and now can he pick up the ball as well? He can, so he will take possession of the ball now. But he is more or less surrounded by Orcs, and the Orcs will now have their turn. And of course, he will be attacked. 2 good actions, and the first attack is good, but he will only be pushed. So he will be pushed to this square, but he will again lose the ball. And the ball will bounce down 3 squares, but it will pass into the square with Ragath, so he will have an attempt to pick it up. And he will pick up the ball. Ragath has the ball now. It will not bounce any further. And this lineman will try to... It will have 1 good action and try to attack the dodger. And with a roll of 2, it's not enough. So it's up to Ragath now. He has the ball. And he also has 2 good actions. So for his first action, he will attack. Or will he move? It looks like he will leave the control zone, and that will give the dodger 1 free attack. But he is really outnumbered, and he rolls a 1. So Ragath will move twice towards the end zone. He will not be able to reach it. And then the Orc Brawler will fail twice. But before the turn will shift back to the Elves, he will push this Elven lineman back. So it's the Elves now. The remaining Elves on the pitch will have to stop Ragath, and they will also have to score if they will have any points from this game. And 2 failed activations, only 1 good attempt. The lineman here will try to leave the control zone, and that will give the Orc a free attack, but he will not hit. And it's back to the Orcs again. This lineman will try to activate. He will have 2 good actions. He will be able to move 4 squares into the control zone of the Elven lineman, and he will attack him. He will only need a 3 because of the strength in numbers, and it's a 6. So he will hit, and the roll on the attack hit chart will be a stunned result. He's down. Now all Ragath needs is 1 good activation die. And he is good, and he will yet again, for the second time in this match, take the ball into the end zone. Ragath has scored. It's a 3-1 game, and it's all over for the Elves. Even though they can attempt to get some of their knocked out players back, one of them is still knocked out, but the other one is ready for the beginning of this turn, but it's turn 39. They will not be able to score, I guess, but of course they will try. And with 2 failed activation rolls, I think there will be no hope left for the high-grade Orcs. They will lose this match against the Orcs. The Bone Clan Marauders will move to the top of the Deathball League table, and they might even have secured their survival and their danger of being relegated from the Deathball League. We don't know yet. Still a lot of games left. There are 6 teams in the Deathball League, and the 2 lowest ranking teams after 3 rounds will be relegated, and 2 new teams will be promoted. And while the players fight the last of this match on the middle of the pitch, I can tell that the 2 highest ranking teams in the 2nd Deathball division at the moment is the Saurian team Maxilla Moon and the Havoc Warrior team Dark Hole Horns. But we will see in the future which teams will be promoted and relegated. So far, it's the end of this match. The high-grade Hawks will withdraw, disappointed with their own performance, and the Orcs will celebrate at the middle of the pitch with their fans. And now it's exciting to see who's voted player of the game, and once again it's the Brawler Ukbar who will take the player of the game trophy, and the game winnings only 2 game points for the Orcs. And the high-grade Hawks, they will have Giuliani the team captain voted player of the game, and from this match they will earn 5 game points. And they will definitely need them to improve their game. Ragath, the Orc captain, moved from disaster to 2 goals and led his team to victory. The high-grade Hawks are under unexpected pressure at the bottom of the league. Thanks a lot for watching this Deathball match. I hope you'll join me for future matches.